Hi everyone. Hello. This is episode number 2 of 3 for my YouTube channel's Christmas special. And staying in alignment with episode number 1, which I hope you enjoyed, we are going to do similar things that we did in episode 1. So this episode or this video is going to consist of a book review. I will also have a part where I am reading cards that I have received for Christmases in the past. I will be sharing some Christmas memories from my youth, and I will also be sharing with you my favorite Christmas songs and those that I dislike as well. So I'm very excited about this episode. I really hope you did enjoy the slideshow because I had to go look back and find all of these pictures that I forgot I had actually taken. And also a disclaimer. If you hear some type of screaming in the background, it's my downstairs neighbor. Like, he's been screaming for 2 days, and I don't know why. So, the book that I'm going to be reviewing for this episode is titled The Legend of St. Nicholas, A Story of Christmas Giving. And it was written by Dondi, if that's how you pronounce her name, Daly McCall, and illustrated by Guy Porfirio. I found this book while I was looking for holiday books at the thrift store, and I almost didn't pick it up. I had to decide if I wanted to pick it up or not, but in the end I decided to, mostly because I like gathering books for my future children about historical figures, and sometimes there'll be books that might not be accurate or historically accurate about a historical figure, so I have to debate if I want to grab it or not. So I decided to grab it because I plan on getting more books about St. Nicholas, and when I have children, compare those books with one another. Also, when I opened this book, I found this birthday card. It says, "You have exactly 30 seconds to produce a pony or this blank party is over." And on the back it says, "And not one of those plow horses. I want a thoroughbred." The inside is, "You can't always get what you want, but you sure as heck can complain to anyone willing to listen. Happy birthday, especially because you're in Italy. This really is a good way to spend a birthday. Love, always, infinity, Dreo." I don't know, but that's what they wrote. So I'm going to be sure to keep this card in my possession and read it in the future. But anyway, so before I get started on my book review about this book, let me tell you a little bit about the author and the illustrator. So the author is actually very amazing. This lady has literally written over 500 books, and I don't know how she found the time. She is I think she's currently like 72 years old right now. Her website is dondibooks.com. It says Dondi Daly McCall. It says, "Welcome to Dondi's website." We're going to go to her biography. It says on her bio, Dondi Daly McCall is the award-winning author of over 450 books for children and adults. She visits countless schools, conducts writing assemblies and workshops across the United States, and presents keynote addresses at conferences and young author events. She is also a frequent guest on radio talk shows and has made dozens of appearances on TV. She has won several awards for her writing, including the Helen Keating Ott Award for contributions to children's literature, the Edgar Award, and a 2 times Mom's Choice Award winner. Dondi writes from rural Ohio, where she lives with her husband, Joe, and their 3 children and their horses, dogs, and cats. There was somewhere on here where it says she grew up in Missouri, and I'm wondering which part, because I'm always trying to keep track of anybody from the state of Missouri. But if you go to her site, it talks about like what's required for her in contract if she's going to come to your school, how much it costs, what grade levels, what types of subjects she's going to teach for each grade level. She's a very big advocate for anti-bullying. She also has a lot of books about horses. I also noticed that when I was looking through her books, she also had a lot of Bible stories, which I thought was pretty neat. So, yeah, that is Dondi Daly McCall. And I'll have to be sure to come across some more of her books in the future. Now, the illustrator with his beautiful illustrations, he's also illustrated a book for Billy Crystal. So I thought that was pretty neat. This is what it says. Tuscan-based artist Guy Porfirio, if that's how you pronounce his name, has been telling stories with his artwork for over 25 years. Originally from Chicago, Guy attended the American Academy of Art in Chicago and the School of Visual Arts in New York. Oh, SVA, okay. He honed his artistic skills at several Chicago ad agencies before relocating to Arizona, where he officially became a freelance illustrator. That is so cool. I wish I could go back to Arizona. Guy's early work in advertising trained him to pursue a clear vision, get ideas down quickly, and remain flexible to all possibilities, as Guy puts it, the essentials. Guy imbues his artwork with a clever sense of humor and unwavering attention to narrative. For Guy, every detail and composition has a story to tell. Like so many supporting characters in a play or movie, they bring clarity and purpose to every illustration. And on his website, he has illustrations, line art. He also has a blog and a store where you can buy his mugs as well. I just really love his work. It looks like he uses, I don't know if it's oils or acrylics or something, but I'm really digging his work. So yeah, that is the author and the illustrator. Now in the back of the book, it talks a little bit about St. Nicholas, and it says, oh, and also before I forget, this book was published in 2007. So yeah, it's over a decade old, just a couple of years. But it says, there are many legends and traditions connected to our modern Santa Claus. According to tradition, about 300 years after Christ, a man named Nicholas lived in a seaport town of Myra, or is it Myra, in the region we now call Turkey. He is believed to have become the bishop of Myra, and was later called Saint Nicholas. Nicholas was known as a friend to the poor and the helpless. So that is the little bit that I know about Saint Nicholas. I'm going to be very careful with my review for now because this is really the first research I have done on Saint Nicholas. I've just heard a lot about him through reading and passing or hearing things that people say. That's why I grabbed this book, because there's so many different views of St. Nicholas and even what he looked like. I've heard from a lot of people that study Black history that St. Nicholas was actually Black. On one site called blackenterprise.com, it says, a cathedral built in Bari, Italy, in 1087 to honor the saint depicts him as a Middle Eastern man with very dark skin. According to Psychology Today, the Turkish-born saint looked much more like Osama bin Laden than today's average white male or Coca-Cola Santa Claus. And it says, regardless of skin tone, both St. Nicholas and the man we recognize as Santa Claus are symbolic of the joy of giving. I mean, there's so many versions of like Santa Claus throughout the years. There's even some parts where they're like, there was no Santa Claus. It was like Krampus or whatnot. But this story basically follows a little boy as he learns about the legend of St. Nicholas. So in this portrayal, he is basically portrayed as the boy in the story, I think. Hold on. Yeah. Anyway, so the story starts off It's this boy named Nick, and he's going with his dad to go shopping. I don't know what little town they're in, but it kind of looks like a Thomas Kincaid painting. It's like, look, we're going to go shopping for our family. So it says, Nick followed his dad through the snow-dusted parking lot. Not my idea of fun, he muttered. Hey, you're the one who waited until the last minute to buy Christmas gifts for your little brothers, Dad reminded him. True, Nick admitted. Why was it so much easier to think about getting gifts than giving them? So this sets the tone for the lesson we are going to learn in this story. This little boy forgot that he had to get presents for his brothers for Christmas. That's okay, we all do it. So he spots this little skinny Santa Claus ringing a bell, collecting for the poor, and his dad gives him $1 to put into the bucket. But he thought about adding something from his own wallet, but he was hoping to have enough left to give himself a CD, or to get himself a CD. So he's just like, I want to give, but I also want, my album at the same time. And Santa's just looking at him like, little boy, I'm from the Salvation Army. Give me your coins. Yep. So, there's all of these opportunities in the beginning to open the discussion for giving. Giving with a free heart. So they're in the store, and she describes the store, the author. He smells hot dogs, popcorn, the scratchy Christmas music, he's here in the store, probably Mariah Carey playing. His dad says, you get your gifts and I'll see to this list your mother gave me. Dad called, disappearing into the sea of shoppers. See, that one fly today, okay. No, Dad. You must live in a very safe town. You better take that boy with you and hold his hand, but okay. So Nick headed for the toy aisle, but a rack of CDs caught his eye, and a few minutes later he heard a deep voice saying his name. Look at how big this is. Maybe this book wasn't written in the 2000s. It was probably taking place in the 90s, because that's what a lot of parents would do. They'd be like, oh, over here, okay, we'll have fun. We come back when the street lights are on. The voice belonged to a store Santa. Santa used to go by the name Nick or St. Nicholas, he heard the Santa say to a group of children in the elf room. Nick remembered waiting for his parents in that room when he was a little kid, so he overhears Santa telling the story of St. Nicholas. It says, a long time ago, in a country far across the sea, a boy named Nicholas was born. So now, of course, this Nicholas is actually Nick in the form in his daydream. So Santa goes talking about how Nick or Nicholas's parents were very wealthy and they traveled all over the world. So right here you see these children in, what is it? Isn't it China? Might be China. I don't know if it's China or Japan, but they're in another country. And when Nicholas was 8 years old, they visited the beautiful gardens in the Far East, and Nicholas noticed the children begging for food. When Nicholas turned 10, his parents took him to the West. He couldn't sleep at night because he kept thinking about the longing eyes of the children in the streets, children who had certainly never owned a toy. This almost sounds like I don't know why the setting of the story sounds like the Buddha or Siddhartha, wealthy and then sees suffering and different things. So on his 12th birthday, they're going north, and Nicholas asked his parents, why aren't the children in the snow wearing coats? And they said they probably don't own coats or hats, Nicholas, so this is his first exposure to poverty. I think this is a good book to introduce to children when you want, I guess, to start talking to them about poverty. There's certain parts of the year where like people, I guess there's more opportunities, even though you should be talking about poverty all year long. But around the Christmas season, there's this emphasis on poverty. It's cold. You have the Christmas spirit of giving and all of that. So I feel that this is a good opening or gateway to talk to your children or other children or just even adults in general about poverty and what we can do to help solve it, to help empower people, and also to like really be grateful for the things that we have in our own personal lives. Even though I might not be rich, I mean, I got an apartment, I got clothes, I have an education, I just got most of my health. So I'm pretty okay. It could be worse. I could be on the streets somewhere. It says a few years later, they visited the Holy Land where baby Jesus had been born that first Christmas. In this holy place, God gave us the greatest gift ever given, Nicholas's father remarked. Imagine how much God loves to give us his only son. 3 wise kings brought gifts for the Christ child to honor and celebrate this amazing gift, Nicholas's mother said as the church bells rang out. So I'm like, okay. I feel like like a religious slant to it, but of course it's Saint Nicholas, Christmas, like of course it's going to have a religious slant. So I feel like if you are somebody that's of that faith, you might really like this book, or if you're a person that's trying to introduce your children to other faiths, then this is a good discussion book for that. So this is Nicholas looking out. I guess they're in Bethlehem. No. What was it? Bethlehem? Was it Jerusalem? I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says the Holy Land. So after Nicholas gets back to his home, his parents die, and he's left alone, lost and alone. He had lots of money, thank God, but he had no idea what to do with his life. Yeah, that's just pretty sad. How old was he when he died? When his parents died? Okay. He must have been a teenager. If I had that much money, said Joseph, I'd pay all of our bills because my father is out of work. I would buy my mother a warm coat, Thomas added, and Phoebe gazed at the stars. My 2 sisters want to marry, but we don't have the money that's required from the bride's family. If I had the money, I would give it to my sisters for this dowry. And if I had enough, I would do the same for myself. And Nicholas knew that his friends would never get their wishes unless... Now notice... all of these young people have very serious real world problems. They're not talking about like, oh, I need a toy. Oh, I just need this new video game. No. Most of the things that they desire are actually for other people. Sometimes when you lose everything, you actually want less. And I felt this way, when I had... I don't know what I can't remember what year it was. It was probably like 2019 where I basically felt like I lost everything, or maybe the end of 2020, because at the beginning of this year, how it started off, I just got a job, but I had no apartment of my own. I had no money saved. All of my stuff was scattered in between St. Louis and Hawaii and in suitcases, and I just felt very frazzled. All I wanted, I didn't want new clothes. I didn't want I just need to get this new book. No, all I wanted was my own space. That was it. If I could just get my own space, then I could figure out the rest later. So this girl, or this guy, wants to help his father pay bills. helping his father work not only helps the family, but it also will probably help his father's pride, because a lot of men, when they lose their jobs, it doesn't just affect their finances, it affects their pride. But not just men or women also, but I've noticed like with men that are hardworking and they lose their job, they really, really take it to heart. Then with this other person, Thomas, he wants to buy his mother a warm coat. So, he wants to provide for his mom just to live a comfortable life. And then Phoebe, she wants opportunities for her sisters, because I don't know what it was like in that society with women being married off, but I do know that if you didn't have a husband, in a lot of societies, you were very basically on the road to destitution, or on the road to poverty, or ending up in some type of bad situation. So they have real world problems, yet they're thinking about other people. So that night, Nicholas goes over, he has a conversation with God, and he says, "Father, could this be the work you have for me?" As if in answer, the church bells rang. Nicholas remembered what his mother had said about the wise kings bringing gifts to baby Jesus. He thought of what his father said about Jesus being the greatest gift. What a better time to give gifts than on Jesus' birthday, which I'm like, that's not his birthday, but okay. It's all debatable. It's all debatable. But his heart is in a good place, so we're not gonna go over the historical stuff. I really like this scene because sometimes one good prayer can set you on the path to a completely different life. Sometimes when you have nothing, all you can do is pray. Like that's what happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I'll try everything. I'll utilize everything I possibly can. And then I'm like, you know what? I just give up. God, just help me, please. I can't do it anymore. And that's how my prayers get answered so fast. Because I just literally ran out of options. I'm like, shoot, why did I wait as this a last option? This should have been my first option. So Nicholas could barely hold his excitement. So he's going around people's houses. He's throwing in the presents they need through the window. So the first house he goes, he tosses gold coins into his friend Joseph's house to help them buy their own home. Then he gives his friend Thomas a coat for the mother. Then he ties coins into 3 bags for 3 dowries and goes to Phoebe's house. I guess he couldn't find an open window, so he decides to drop it down the chimney. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I guess that's where the idea of the chimney came from. On Christmas Day, Nicholas's friends came running into his house. "It's a miracle," Joseph exclaimed. "God must have heard my prayers." And they're just all excited. They're like, "My sisters are going to get married. My mom has a new coat," and blah, 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 blah. So overcome with joy, Nicholas understood his mission in life. That's how he would celebrate Christmas from now on. Wow, I really like that. I'm not done with the story, but I have a comment. This kind of reminds me of San Martin de Porres, who I did a book review on earlier this year. And San Martin de Porres is the patron saint of African Americans and those of a mixed race. And it sounds very similar to the things he did, except with his, he had, I guess, healing powers and various things. But he would help pay for women for their dowries. He would also help the sick and the poor, and even help animals as well. So I think that's pretty cool that you had those people in history who didn't have to have empathy and who didn't have to care, but they did. Some societies where I've read, I'm just like, God, the people, or at least some people in power, were just so very cruel, even the ones that were in a monastery. But it's always nice to read about historical figures who actually acted in a selfless manner. So when the story ended, Nick shook himself. A part of him was back with Nicholas. He could imagine how good it must have felt to secretly give his friends what they wanted the most. And then Nick had almost forgotten why people gave presents at Christmas. He wanted to feel that same joy of giving. Nick, time to go, Dad walked up, his arms full of shopping bags. We can't go yet, Dad. So look, what does Nicholas see? He sees an opportunity to share. Oh. So, Nick never imagined buying gifts could be so much fun. He found just the right toys for his brothers. Then he spent everything he had left on toys for the poor. I wish I had enough to fill the whole collection box. Nick felt sure he'd never look at Christmas the same way. He wanted to remember the gifts of St. Nicholas, the gifts of the wise kings, and most of all, God's gift of baby Jesus. The end. I think that was a very, very nice book. I feel like it could be the precursor to doing something, an activity with youth or other people to promote just selfless giving, to think about the needs of others who really can't help themselves. The spirit of I wouldn't even say servitude. The spirit of compassion. Spirit of compassion. So yes, I give this book a thumbs up. I still need to find more books on St. Nicholas, especially the claims that some people say he was of Moorish descent, so I actually want to find out more books about that as well. But this one was a pretty good book, and I'll be sure to find more books by that author and also books illustrated by that illustrator. Now, we are going to do the next section of this episode. We are going to be reading some Christmas cards that I have received throughout the years. So the first Christmas card, it says Peace on Earth. And it is written by, I guess, a woman named Grace. I received it in December 2019. And it says, Dear Kiara, Happy Holidays. I hope your 2020 is filled with lots of great books to read. I am trying to read every book Nancy Pearl indexed in Booklist, MNE Booklist, and Booklist to go. Over 5,000 titles. I think I need to do that. I've been chipping away at the list since 2016 and haven't read 1,000 books, so I probably will never finish the full list, but I'm trying. I read 100 to 120 books a year. Wow. I don't even know why I missed that part. I need to be like this lady. And I would have so many videos. Okay. Anyway, the best part of the challenge is reading books I wouldn't have picked up. Right now I'm reading Bill Bryson, Christina Garcia, Lee Child, and Elaine D. Button. Quite the diverse group of authors. They are all really good. So many books. So little time. Best wishes, Grace. Well, thank you, Grace. I did end up writing back to her maybe twice. I sent her a Valentine's Day card and a Happy New Year's card. Then I ended up moving, so I don't know if she's still living in that same location. The next card is from Kansas, and it's from a person named, it just says Johnny Jones. It says, Dear Kiara, I hope that 2020 brings you many books and much happiness. Your library thing friend, Johnny Jones. And this is his little writing. It's from December 2019. And it has a beautiful picture of a bookshelf shaped like a Christmas tree. Is it a painting? I don't know if this is a painting or if this is a photograph, but I really like it. The last card is from Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas. and it was sent to me by a woman named Gloria in December 2019 from North Padre Island. She says, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas, a very happy Christmas, and a new year filled with wonderful books. Be well and enjoy. Warmest wishes, Gloria. And it has pictures of holiday books. So Is There a Santa Claus by Jacob A. Riis? There's Old Christmas, Nancy's Country Christmas. It's just a very beautiful thing. It says, Is There a Santa Claus? Best of decorated books from the shelves of the Bodleian Library. Didn't we just talk about that in episode 1? Where they had you reading that oath to borrow their books? You cannot borrow my books. This is my library. My library is back there. Say the oath to borrow my books. Featuring Is There a Santa Claus by Jacob A. Riis and Christmas Books by Charles Dickens. Bodleian Libraries, University of Oxford. Okay, now I have to go get over my fear of planes and go to England or wherever to go to this Bodleian Library and say the oath. I have to do this. Or get on a ship or something. I don't know. But I have to go there and visit as many libraries as I can. So that is oh my goodness, where is it? Okay. So the next part of this video, we are going to be talking about some of my favorite Christmas memories. And I only have maybe 2. I'll save one for episode 3. So one Christmas memory that I have is I just remembered this tonight, actually. I was the lead in the school play. It was a pretty big deal to me because I was basically the only, maybe one of 5 black children in the whole school. So everything I did, it was almost like watched or monitored or something. So I thought that was pretty neat. I ended up being the star. It was like the star that's shown in the sky for Jesus, because I went to a church school, a religious school. My name was Andro in the play, and one song was, Won't You Come Home, Dear Andro, Won't You Come Home? And I was like supposed to be singing off key. I couldn't really sing back then. I can't sing now, but I guess my non-singing skills is what got me to be the lead in the play, because I had a very terrible voice, and that's what the character had. So yeah, I remember that, and I had to wear a big cone with Christmas lights, and I was just covered in Christmas lights. I don't know what grade I was in. There's a picture from that time, but I don't know where it went. So I had to look somewhere. Maybe one of my relatives has it. So that's one Christmas memory I remember. The next Christmas memory, I'm kind of like, I really can't remember how old I was. I can remember memories very vividly from childhood, but when I get to be a teenager, I really can't remember that much. So some age when I was a teenager, I was at this church somewhere far off in De Pere or Creve Coeur, and they were having some type of Christmas giveaway. Now, Creve Coeur and De Pere for me is far in my mind. Like, it's a long drive. It's out, like, you get richer and richer and richer in houses. And this church had Christmas gift giveaways, and all of these families in need would come, and you would give them presents based off of the child's age. And I remember how excited I was to be giving out these presents. It was one of the first times I really felt pride in helping others and bringing a smile to the people's faces. I really want to do something like that again next year. I want to plan for it better, or put something in my budget where I can help somebody. I don't know. I feel like I want to help single mothers, really, like a single mom, and give her like books or money or something. So next year, that's one goal I want to do. Either volunteer somewhere or save up money throughout the year to help like 1 or 2 single mothers, surprise them with the things that they need. Then the last part of this video is I will be sharing with you some of my favorite and least favorite Christmas songs. So yesterday I mentioned I hated the Little Drummer Boy except for the David Bowie Bing Crosby version. One album I like is the Mariah Carey Christmas album. I know when it first came out, I was a child and I would play it in my class, all of our Christmas party. I played Mariah Carey. I just love all of the music there. There's another song called, it was like Christmas Just Ain't Christmas, but I don't know who sang that song. I really like that song. There was also another song, but I can't remember. Santa Baby, I'm really on the fence about that one. I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I don't know. But I'll never like Jingle Bells ever. If you remember that, I'll never, ever like Jingle Bells. Ever. But yeah, that's all I can really think of right now. Thank you for all watching this video. I should be posting my last and final episode sometime this week. I have one more book to read, and I think it's a pretty cute book. And then we will get right into my 7-day Kwanzaa video series, where I will be talking about every single principle of Kwanzaa, how it relates to us in this modern time, and also like putting on like shout outs to different Black-owned businesses, particularly in the St. Louis area. So thank you all for watching this video and have a nice evening. Bye bye.